Hello and welcome to the next webinar, which is going to be all about bodyweight exercises. So we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, things to maybe consider when you're looking to get into some bodyweight exercises. So let's see what we've got. So first of all, we're going to talk about the pros. So you can get a great variety of exercises, and I think in lockdown it was very clear how many exercises you can actually get from just using your body weight and the resistance your body weight can create against gravity. Going to talk a lot about COVID because we all learned loads of bodyweight exercises from COVID, so I think it's important to, not important, but it's always helpful to link it back because we've all been through it now. So it's good to look back and see the good things and the bad things when we've got the options of the gym as well. So yeah, great variety of exercises. You can do most of your body without any equipment. Things you will struggle to do mainly will be kind of your back muscles, because there's not a lot of things you can do to pull without using any kit. But generally everything else you can hit pretty well. It's low cost or free. So obviously using your body weight in your front room is free, no problem with that. Low cost can come into things like if you want to buy some bands to add it, or a TRX suspension trainer, or sliders, or anything else that you can use that you can think will make things harder for you. But they're low cost compared to buying a set of dumbbells or squat rack or something like that. So a big pro is that it's free, and that often means it's available to everyone as well, which I think is very important to remember when you are on holiday, busy with work, or you just can't get to the gym, maybe your car's in the garage, whatever. You've got this free available option to do at home. You don't need to go to the gym. You can still get a great workout and great benefits from a free kind of source of exercise. And yeah, you can do it anywhere, in the house, in the park, on holiday, anywhere. The only thing, like I said, that you might need to consider is that you can't do many pulling exercises, pull-ups, rows, anything like that, because it's a hard exercise to do. Unless you've got a bar to pull yourself up and you can do it, it's very hard to find somewhere to do that. So the only limiting factor with that is if you're doing a back exercise or workout, you may be limited to the equipment and therefore where you can do it. You get increased core activation and strength. So using your body weight forces you to adjust your center of gravity left to right, forward, backwards, and that's going to engage your core a lot more than, say, sitting on a chest press machine where you're sat in a perfect position, resting against the backrest, sat on the seat and just pushing forward and back. Doing a press up, which still works the same muscles in your chest and shoulders, you'll have to engage your core by pretty much holding a plank to do it. So if we're comparing the two exercises, chest press and press up, both mainly work in the chest, shoulders and triceps. But in the press up, there's a lot more core activation needed and a lot more core strength needed or being worked. So that is a huge benefit of bodyweight exercises. A lot of machines in the gym take away that inner stability. They tell your body, they make it very easy for your body to move in one direction or two directions. And therefore your body doesn't need to really adjust your core or your center of gravity to balance it out. Whereas with bodyweight stuff, you generally have to engage your core at all times because you're changing positions, changing body, your center of gravity is changing, so your core has to work and adjust for that. And there's a low to medium risk of injury. This can vary obviously depending on your ability level and what you're trying to do. But with no weights added, no extra equipment added, you're limiting the risk of injury because you're limiting the risk of variables. Press ups, if you can't do a press up, the worst thing it's going to do is you're going to just land on the floor from maybe a foot off the floor, maybe quite hard. It won't be enjoyable, but it's not going to be too dangerous. If you're trying to do certain things like calisthenics, where you're doing handstands and swinging off a bar, that risk is going to increase. But generally, the risk of injury from bodyweight exercise is pretty low, as long as you're staying within your capabilities to what you're trying to do. So let's look at some negatives. So one negative is that you're limited to how you can increase the difficulty of each exercise. So if we're thinking about the gym, if we take a chest press, for example. With the at home, we've pretty much only got press ups. That's the main thing we can use. At the gym, you've got a machine, a barbell, dumbbells, kettlebells, cables. You can do the same movement on 4 different bits of kit, and they all have different variations of difficulty because of the way you have to move them. With body weight, the only way you can do it is increase your reps most of the time, unless you change exercise to be a more difficult exercise. So say like a squat is quite easy. You do more squats, or you can change it to like a lunge or a split squat to put more load onto one leg rather than both. But that's completely changing the exercise. If you want to improve on that exercise, the only thing you can do is increase the reps. Whereas in the gym, you can increase the weight, you can change the piece of kit you're using, stuff like that. So there's a limited ability to increase the difficulty from bodyweight exercises. You are limited to exercise choices. So if your ability is limited, you can only do a certain amount of exercises. There's nowhere really that you can progress. Whereas when you have more kit, more availability, you can do more stuff. And it just keeps your body kind of progressing nicely, because you can, if something gets too hard, we can change it to try something else so you can get back up to that level. Like I said, with a squat, if you can't quite do a lunge yet, but you can do squats okay, the only thing we can do is maybe increase your squat reps to build that overall endurance and strength, and then try and do a variation of a lunge or a split squat. But you're limited with that, whereas in the gym you can do a leg press, you can do maybe small step ups, things like that, where it would benefit you to getting to that lunge position. But at home you're limited to how to get there. Cool. Unbalanced training. So, like I've said a few times now, you rarely can, or you just can't do it. Back exercises, so pull-ups, rows, anything, or maybe bicep curls can be difficult as well. So anything where you're using a pulling movement, so bring something towards you, it's hard to do without any equipment. That's why I recommend getting a TRX suspension trainer or some bands where you can actually include some back workouts. But generally, a lot of home workouts that you'll find will be squats, press-ups, sit-ups, lunges, tricep dips on a bench, things like that, where it's a lot more legs, core, chest. There's rarely any shoulder exercises or back exercises that you can do with bodyweight training. So we are limited to the exercises we can do, and therefore that can leave an unbalanced style of training. If you're always doing press-ups and squats, your hamstrings and back are going to be quite weak compared to the front parts of your body. So you need to take that into consideration. So if you're doing home workouts, a lot of the time you need to find ways to get you to be able to balance that training out with front and back of upper and lower body. And it can become tedious, and I'm sure, again, come back to COVID, you all realised how tedious home workouts can be. With a limited ability to increase the difficulty, with a limited exercise choices, and then maybe not ideal perfect training balance, you're doing similar exercises, you can't always see a way to progress. It can get tedious. And not only that, if you're doing it at home, the motivation may not be there. The environment's not exactly where you want it to be for when you want to work out. Like going to the gym is not only a place to work out because there's more kit and there's more stuff, but it's like when you walk into the gym, mindset changes from work to gym or from home to gym. And when you're doing it at home, it can become tedious that you've got to put dinner on, you've got to put the hoover around, you've got to look after the kids. These things can make training at home tedious, as well as the actual training side of it, like we discussed with the limited increase of difficulty, limited exercise choices, stuff like that. So it can become tedious, so that is a big con for bodyweight exercises. But like I said, it is a very valuable way to train, and it's a great tool to have in your back pocket if, like I said, you can't make it to the gym, you're on holiday, you just don't have time. You can only, if you've got an hour to work out, you don't have time to do a 20-minute hard journey to the gym, a 20-minute home. You could do that full hour at home and shower right there without the travel So it is a great tool to have in your toolbox of exercises. So don't write it off. I still believe that press-ups, pull-ups, and like split squats and Bulgarian split squats are some of the best exercises that you can do. And if you can master them really well, they'll stand you in good stead for a long period of time, because they have a lot of benefits across the board with core activation, working one side compared to the other, so making sure everything's balanced, and just a good level of strength compared to your own body weight. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and I will get back to you ASAP. But yeah, hopefully you found this useful.